What's up, guys? It's your girl Hassana back with another episode of The Elephant in a Pink Room. I pray that this episode finds you guys in good spirit and in good health, and that you are really taking the time to embrace what this season has to offer you. I just want to let you guys know that are listening to me via like sound app, like SoundCloud, Apple Podcast, whatever, that this video is actually on YouTube. So there is a visual video for this episode if you wanted to see it live. If you want to see it in person, just go to my YouTube channel and watch it there. And I'm going to try to continue to create videos to go with the podcast episode. So that's that. Welcome back, and I thank you guys for stopping by. Please, if you enjoy my content, follow me on my other platforms. Like and share this episode with people that you think that really can benefit from listening to this content. And I thank you guys. So today I wanted to chat it up with you guys because I know that in this space, a lot of us in this time, like we're in the middle of trying to get something, right? It's like we're in the middle of whether it's school, we're trying to finish school, we're trying to start businesses, we're trying to grow our careers. Like everyone is constantly trying to evolve and get things. And for me, one of my biggest challenges is keeping momentum, being consistent. And with consistency, I think that a lot of times it's hard. Well, it's a challenge for me because I start to lose momentum. And it's a lot of different things that happens, whether it's distractions, or whether it's just like that feeling of nothing is coming out of what I'm doing. And it becomes disheartening and makes me start to think differently. But what I noticed too is that like I could get so passionate and so motivated in a second, and I'll be doing the things, having so many ideas and all of this other stuff. And then next thing you know, it starts to go down and down and down. But what I'm learning is to still show up even though I'm not motivated, because motivation isn't really what's going to make the difference, right? But it's the momentum, it's the consistency that's going to make the difference. And you guys hear me talk about that a lot because that's something that I struggle with. So that's something that I'm really practicing. And one of the things that I try to find things to do to kind of start building those habits, building a habit of being consistent, whether it's working out, making sure I eat the same, eat healthy, making sure that I show up at the gym, and when I'm at the gym, I'm giving it my best. That's what I'm trying to do in all the spaces that I'm trying to grow in. And today, I had to take a breath and a step back because it was just like, I have this momentum. I'm going. I've been consistent. I've been doing the things that I need to do. And then the enemy always throws a wrench. It always throws a wrench in something to try to mess it up, right? And the main reason that he does that is not because he can't physically stop us from doing what we're doing, right? But what he does is he starts to create a doubt. He starts to create like these thoughts that will have us doubt in God, and eventually will start to separate us, right? And to stop us from doing the things that we need to do. So yesterday, I actually listened to Sarah Jakes Roberts' sermon, and in that sermon she actually said, be careful of the openings. The enemy is looking to exploit that in order to create separation, right? He's looking for those areas that we are not really fully secure in. He's looking for that hunger, because sometimes we also have to be careful of things that the world has deemed to be good or excellent. Like they tell you, like you have to be ambitious, you have to be motivated, you have to be like this go-getter. But we have to be careful because those are the areas that the enemy will try to exploit. So if you're doing something out of the wrong with the wrong intentions, like it could really open you up to the enemy's plans and devices. And what I mean by that is like you can't be so hungry and so ambitious for something that you start to separate from God, because what starts to happen is that your flesh starts taking over and you're focused more on that thing than being attuned to God and what He and listening for His instruction. And I'm gonna just give you a story. I know someone that wanted a promotion. She wanted a promotion so bad, and it wasn't necessarily because she felt like she deserved it and all of the things, but it was just she wanted the title, right? I want the title. I want to be able to say that I got promoted. I want people, I want to be able to be the one who came and got promoted so quick. Like she wanted the accolades so bad. And what happened was, they actually saw this, right? And then they was like, listen, I'm gonna give this to you. You know what I'm saying? It's not gonna come with that much pay. It's not gonna come with the things that you want, because at this point, all you know is that this is what you want, but you haven't really considered why you want it. Because once you consider why you want these things, what start to happen is you start to come up with non-negotiables. And it's like once your non-negotiables are set into place, there's nothing no one can do. And then, but when you're so hungry and thirsty, the enemy gonna feed you, right? He gonna feed you to give you that temporary satisfaction. And then once you get that temporary satisfaction, because this is what we gotta be careful too. And I've noticed that this has happened to me a lot. And I'm gonna try to slow down because I know I'm kind of like going all over the place because I'm kind of getting like excited about it. But what I've noticed is that there's been times that I've wanted something so bad, a pair of shoes, let's say for instance. I wanted these shoes so bad. And it's like once I got it, I was satisfied for the moment, like, oh, I got my shoes, like I'm happy. But then it's like once I wore it that one time, it was just like the excitement was gone. The excitement was gone, and now I'm on to the next thing. Oh, now I want this bag. And what happens is that the enemy is looking for those openings so he could satisfy it. And then what happens is that once I get the shoes and I'm sitting there like, okay, these shoes are cute, like they doing what they need to do, but they're not really satisfying the purpose that I needed the shoe, right? And then now you start looking for another shoe. Now, next thing you know, you got a closet full of shoes and spent all your money, and now you're in debt. But that's what the enemy wants. And now you're trying to scrape your way out of debt. Now you're trying to think of all of the ways that you can make extra money to get out of debt. Meanwhile, the things that you need to be concentrating on and the things that you need to be doing has taken a back seat, because you're now completely in your flesh and you're trying to do things on your own merit. And that's the reason why we have to, and that initially separates us from God. And that's the reason why we have to be careful of our intentions on why we want specific things. And what the enemy does too is that when you are at the point of a breakthrough, or when you have that momentum, and this is what I'm learning, because like today I'm sitting at my desk and I'm just like, oh boy, like why this had to come up now? Like I'm feeling good, I got my momentum now, and this just makes me want to just be like, I'm done. But then I had to think like, no, you got to believe what God said, and you got to continue on, because that's what the enemy wants you to do. He wants you to take your eyes off of the things that you are supposed to be doing, the work that you have in your hands, and he wants you to concentrate on this other thing. But you don't have time for that because you already surrendered that to God. So why pick it back up and worry about it when you already surrendered it? You already surrendered it. You already told God, I'm going to give this to you, and I'm going to let you figure this out while I work on this. So continue to work on the things. Continue to work on your business, because what happens too is that once you take your mind off of something and starts focusing on something else, what happens? It gets hard to get back into the groove of it, to pick it back up. Like, no, you don't have time for that. You just need to stay the course. And I was just sitting there and I was just thinking, like, every single time it's time for me to have a breakthrough or something's about to happen, the enemy just start throwing things left and right. And that's why I thank God for peace every single day, because he always gives me this peace, even in these things, even rest in when it seems like if people really know, and I will eventually, it's some things that I'm working on in order to be able to open up about this situation that I'm going through. But if people really knew what I was going through right now, they'll probably be like, I don't see how you even made it out, like how you continue to stay positive and how you continue to just go and no one even knew what you were going through. But that's because I'm relying on God, because I'm like, okay, God, I'm following your instruction and your direction, and what you're telling me to do in this season is to work on this. And even though it may not seem like nothing's happening, it may seem like, it's not coming to fruition, it may seem like I'm doing it for nothing, I know that I'm not doing it for nothing. And that's why I just keep trying to be in a place of gratitude. And then also I like to reflect a lot, because God has brought me through a lot of things, and it may not be tangible like material things and things like that, but personally and spiritually, like God has shown up in my life so much. Like even in this area that I'm have this issue with now, like God had did some things in that area, and I've seen his goodness, and I've seen him show up in that area, and I'm believing that he's going to show up regardless, and he's going to blow my mind this time. So that's what I'm kind of like, that's where I'm at right now, right? And then the other day, through my worship and praise, because I'm going to give God the praise, I'm going to still worship, I'm still going to pray, I'm still going to study, because at the end of the day, that is what's going to keep me grounded. That's what's going to keep me going. That's going to put the battery in my back. That's going to give me hope. That's going to give me like that push, you know what I'm saying? It's going to keep me grounded, So during my prayer, I heard God say, like, the season is due. And I was sitting there like, the season is due. Like, what does that really, really mean? And God was telling me, and it was crazy because he gave me Galatians. He gave me Galatians 6 and 9. I'm going to pull it up for you right now, for you guys right now, so that you could, I can read it for you. So Galatians 6 and 9 says, and let us not be weary in well doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. And being weary is like that doubt, being worried and hopeless and all of that other things. And he's saying, let us not be weary in well doing. Like, you're doing well, but don't get weary in doing well. And that's what tends to happen to me, and that's what I have experienced. Like, I could be doing well, and then I just get weary, and the momentum is gone, because now I just like stop. But he says, for in due season, right? And I was like, due season. And I looked up the word due, and it means expected at or planned for a certain time, a person's right, what is owed to someone, an obligatory payment, a fee. So he's telling us now, like, for in due season. So if you're doing what you're supposed to do, there's going to be a season where you are going to get what you are owed. Those promises are going to come to surface. And it says, if you faint not. So if you don't give up like the enemy wants you to, you are going to reap. It said that you are going to reap. And when reap, you know what? I'm just going to do this. And I feel like, I don't have this written down, but I just wanted to give you guys the definition for reap. But of course, my connection is wrong. But you guys can look it up and I'll try to put it in the show notes. But it's just like you're going to receive what you deserve, you know, and God promised us that the seeds that we sow, that we will see a harvest, you know. Fruit come from seeds. Whatever you plant, like, it's going to grow if you water it. And that's why I just keep reminding myself. So when I heard that, I was like, in due season, and he was saying the season is due. So he's telling me, like, do not faint, do not give up, keep moving, keep going, don't lose your momentum. You know what I'm saying? This was just yesterday, and then today, well, last night actually is when it started. Something happened. It was just like, come on now, like, I'm on my high, you know, because God gave me a promise. He gave me a prophetic word. And now I'm clinging on to that word. And then now this happened. But it's like, no, I'm not going to faint. Like, I'm not going to give up. You know, I'm not going to get to tear, because all that's going to do is put me back a couple of steps. And I've done that way too many times. Like, just keep reverting back. And what I'm learning is that my posture is very important, because it's not like it was never said that these things are not going to happen, right? That's the enemy's job. He's on his job better than we are, but that's his job, to come and try to derail us. He can't really physically stop us from doing what God wants us to do. So what he does is he frustrates us. He throws things at us that's going to distract us and take our attention off of God. But God, like, no, don't get weary. Keep doing what you're doing. Like, you have a momentum, right? It's like you're going a course. Like, you're in the race, right? But you want to see the finish line. But in order to see the finish line, like, you got to continue on. You can't get distracted. And all I just keep seeing is just somebody just running, and just like things falling off as they running, because we cannot let the things that the enemy is trying to put in our path, we can't connect to it. We can't pick it up like it's the torch. You know, like it's the torch being passed. Like, we can't do that. We gotta keep going, keep running. And so when I heard Sarah's message, it kind of gave me hope too, because, you know, my pastor also preached about pressing through, you know, and Sarah's talking about pushing through. And it's just like, we have to learn how to break through barriers. And even though it's spiritual, and we know that we don't fight against flesh and blood, we fight against principalities, rulers, dark places, wicked things, and all of that other stuff. We know that. So we know that we can't physically fight our way through it, but we have to spiritually break through these things. And that's why God gives us our weaponry. That's why we have prayer. That's why we have fasting. That's why we have our armor, because all of these are tactics that's going to go against the enemy. We have the word that's sharper than a two-edged sword. We have our sword to cut the enemy down. God has given us authority to crush the head of the serpent. So we need to do that by continuously just like, so what I did yesterday, because we have to find what works. And what I did today, I got off the phone because I had to make a phone call. Because just out of anxiety, you know, I was like, let me just see something, because something popped in my head. So I had to make a phone call. And then I just sat down and I was like, nope. It still goes back to what God told me before, right? Because now the confusion try to kick in. But it's just like, no, there's no confusion. It's plain. What God said is what God said. So now I'm just sitting there. I'm like, okay. All right, so you know what? God, I believe you. I said I surrendered this situation to you. I'm going to move forward. I went into worship. I went into praise. I went into prayer at work. And I don't care. Like, I'll be at work. I'll be praying. If I got to go in the bathroom, if I got to walk around the building to pray, like, that's what I do. Like, whatever it is to just keep me motivated and keep me going. And then, you know, after that, it's just like, because it's something else that I'm working on too. Concerning this situation. So that's when my testimony gonna come in at, because God has given me something concerning this situation, so I'm working on it now. So that's another thing that kind of distracted me and make me feel like I'm never going to get out of this situation. But it's like, no, I am. So it's just like putting a word on it, like being able to put the word on it, being able to stand strong, 10 toes down, and being able to fully rely on God. Fully rely on God. And I don't even know if I could even express how important this is, how important it is to have the word written on your heart, so that when these things happen, it automatically, the truth gonna come in. The enemy gonna feed us lies, but we compact this with truth, right? We compact this with the things that God says versus what the enemy want us to believe, right? So that's what I just wanted to get on here today and talk to you guys about, just to encourage you, like, don't give up. Don't leave doors open for the enemy to use. Don't be so ambitious and so thirsty and so hungry for something on this earth that you put your guard down and you leave an opening for the enemy to step in. Because another thing that he will do is that he will step in and give it to you in a time, because there's a time for everything, right? He'll expedite it. He'll expedite this thing for you, and you'll bypass the process, and you'll probably think that it's coming from God, but it's not. But it's because you haven't gone through the process. He don't want you to go through the process, because what happens when you go through the process? You learn. But you can't rush the process. You need to go through the process to learn. Like what I'm going through now, I need to go through it to learn, because when I come out of it, I'm going to be completely delivered. And that's what God wants. He wants complete deliverance. Because he don't want us to be bound to anything. He don't want us to have any baggage. He don't want us to be bound. He don't want us to owe anyone. So that's the reason why, we have to really, really make sure that our hearts are set. Our hearts is set on God, so that he could get us through these things. Because if you skip the process and you never learn, the hole just gets deeper and deeper and deeper. And then sometimes you get so frustrated that you don't want to have anything to do with it. Excuse me, you know what I'm saying? And also, he can't do what God could do, right? So the way that God could show up in that the way that God will show up in your situation, the enemy can't even give you half of that, because God's blessings are immeasurable. We can't even measure the things that he could do, right? But the enemy can't do that. Like, he can't do what God could do. But what he'll do is he'll give us false gratification, that we'll think that we really received it. But it's just like, no, we haven't. Like, just let God do it, and just stay the course, just stay focused. And last week I talked about community, and that's why community is so important, because sometimes you may need somebody to talk to kind of get your mind back on track. Sometimes you may need somebody to pray for you or to fast with you, to come in agreement. They say if two or more, come together, then he'll be in the midst. Like, that is how this community works. Like, having people to be in agreement for deliverance for you concerning your situation, as well as you doing the same with others. So it's very important to make sure that we're really, really focusing on the kingdom, and that we are surrounded by people that can really, really stand with us, because it's really a journey. It's really a journey. But the same way that God has done it for the people in the Bibles, there is a story for us to tell too. It's a part of our story. It's a part of our legacy, the things that we go through. And these things are to help other people. Like, I have family members that I don't want to experience the things that I've experienced. So now that's my why. My why is to make sure that the things that I'm experiencing and I'm going through, that I learn from them and allow God to show his glory through me, so that it can help my children, so it can help my family members, my loved ones, because I have people that I love that's not family, and to make me stronger as a woman of God. So that's what I just wanted to, talk to you guys today about, and just to encourage you and tell you to keep the momentum, because in due season you will reap, and the season is due. The things that you have been consistent with, the things that have been on your heart and you haven't given up on, and you just been laying toiling in the fields, and you've been doing all of the things, and you've been praying, you've been fasting, all of those things that you have done, the seeds that you have sown, you will reap in this season. Just stay the course. Just stay the course. Even if you gotta do it crying, even if you're in the field toiling and you cry, you got tears. That be me. That be me. Like I'll be crying in a minute. So sensitive. Like I'll cry in a minute. Like I'll be up there crying but I'm still gonna do it. Like today, like I knew, I already had planned what I was going to do in terms of content, and I'm still going to do it. I'm still going to take my pictures. I'm still going to do my YouTube podcast video. I'm still going to do my content when I get off of this live, because another thing that I'm working on now is my my health, my body, making sure that I stay active every day, making sure I work out, making sure that I'm eating healthy and all of those other things, because I'm an emotional eater. So a lot of times, if I get anxious, I'll start craving, and it's not just craving regular stuff, it's candy, chips. I literally be wanting to go home, get in the bed, eat all my junk, my hamburgers and fries. And it's crazy because I don't even really eat meat, but that's how I am. But I've learned not to submit to my flesh. That's what I'm learning. That's really what I'm learning in this season. Not to submit to my flesh. My flesh is to come under submission of the Holy Spirit. And if I say that I'm the Holy Spirit dwells in me, then my flesh, I cannot allow my flesh to take over. So, like I said, I want nothing more but to go home and just maybe get a glass of wine or something. But I'm gonna make sure that I go home, and I'm going to work out, and then I'm gonna relax, because I have an event coming up next week. And me being an introvert, I've been needing my me time, and I've been peopling lately. So I need to start trying to unwind. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to stay positive. I'm going to continue the course, and I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to give up, because I already know what comes with giving up. A lot of regret, a lot of, grief, doubt, all of that stuff. I don't have time for that. I'm so over it, I'm so over it. And for me to say that I am, I'm growing and all of this other stuff, I can't revert back. So I have to remain my stance, and I have to check my posture in every situation. And my posture is always going to be at the feet of God. So I'm going to let you guys go. I'm going to be back again with another episode. And again, follow me on my social media platforms. I'm going to put all the information in the show notes. And until next time, keep it stylish.